February 20th at 5 p.m. Well, we've all heard the saying, when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. Well, our next story is about a Charlotte man who has lots of experience with that. He overcame a difficult childhood to become a successful businessman and United States ambassador. I consider it such a personal honor to call Mark Erwin one of my friends. Carolina Impact's Jeff Rivenbark shares his personal story with us.
There you go.
At age 71, businessman and United States Ambassador Mark Erwin stays busy, but he sets aside everything to spend time with his first and only grandson.
We're going to discover a lot of things together, aren't we?
Mark hopes Thomas has a normal and happy childhood, which is something he never had.
My little buddy.
Mark's grandfather was Charles H. Freeman, a successful businessman and oil baron in West Virginia during the early 20th century.
My family had great wealth. My mother, unfortunately, had some mental issues and alcohol issues.
Born in 1944, Mark never really knew his father. His mother was a socialite who battled depression and eventually squandered her inheritance.
And so as a child, I was raised in a difficult environment. And by the time I was a teenager, the wealth was gone. So I went from riches to rags.
During 10th grade, Mark was expelled from school and got into lots of trouble. In 1961, he was charged with forging checks on his mother's account.
And she called the law, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mark was given the option of going to jail for 4 years or joining the military.
I went in the Air Force, and they taught me about discipline and self-discipline.
When he got out of the military, Mark was determined to do something with his life.
My vision was that I wanted to restore the family's wealth and reputation.
While taking classes at the University of Tennessee, a young woman caught his eye and captured his heart.
He was this wild young man that came bopping in and saying, "Hi, my name is Mark Erwin." And I'm thinking, oh man, I don't know about this guy.
Mark and Joan fell in love and married in 1968.
There is no question in my mind, I married way up. She has just been the absolute best partner anybody could have, especially somebody like me who has a bit of a wild spirit to him and was a bit rebellious. Some people might think I still am.
The Erwins moved to the Charlotte area in the late 1970s to start a real estate investment business. And in the 1980s, he and John Crossland Jr. formed Crossland Erwin Associates.
He and I made a lot of positive changes in the landscape of Charlotte and North Carolina.
He served 2 positions under President Bill Clinton's administration, including an appointment in 1998 as U.S. Ambassador to 3 countries.
I had a regional embassy down in the Indian Ocean off the east coast of Africa, Mauritius, Seychelles, and Comoros. A democracy, a Marxist-Leninist regime, and a military dictatorship.
A number of photos show some of the national and world leaders Mark and Joan have met over the years. Mark attributes much of his success to having great mentors.
My mentors go back to my grandfather. His stories represented my first mentoring. Just reading about him from the newspapers and hearing the lore within the family. Then I've had mentors like Bill Clinton and John Crossland and John Bell.
One of his best friends was an actor who played the TV character everybody loved to hate, J.R. Ewing.
Larry Hagman was a dear friend before he passed away. He gave me his Scottish kilt and the jacket and so on, the whole uniform, because he knew I was a Scot by heritage. That's a great reminder of the fun times he and I had together.
Mark is also great friends with artist Bob Timberlake.
He and I have written 2 books together, and he has been a great influence on me, just a wonderful guy.
Mark and Joan have raised 2 daughters who have given them 3 granddaughters and a grandson. Perhaps the hardest thing they faced during their 47-year marriage was Joan's cancer diagnosis in 2015.
Because we didn't know, how it was going to turn out.
They say their faith and prayers from others kept them going.
I'm just so blessed.
Her latest reports have been positive. Today, Mark spends his time running his company Erwin Capital, writing books, and practicing his golf swing with his lab Dolly, who's never far from his side.
I like to golf. My game is not getting better, it's getting worse, but it's still just a game.
He says he never would have imagined that troubled teen who ended up in jail for forging checks would go on to become a successful businessman, serve on the boards of several companies and banks, and later represent the U.S. as an ambassador.
I had a kind of a rough start in my life, but I was able to turn things around in my early years and get on the right path.
By sharing the bad and good things that have happened in his life, Mark hopes to inspire others who are searching for the right path they should take. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jeff Rivenbark reporting.
Thanks, Jeff. Ambassador Mark Erwin's newest book comes out in May and highlights successful people who went from struggle to great achievement and shares tips that can help you and I to do the same. Well, for